Stay on.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of The Cut. I am your host, Christian Williams, and I am here, as always, with Randy Hall. Randy, how are you, man?
Doing good, man. I had a fun holidays, even though it did include, 14 hours of driving in a couple days span there, but had a good time. Really good Thanksgiving game. So I think that's, something really good. We don't really have that every year. So happy about that.
Yeah, all of them, too. I think that's normally there's one, like, clunker, right? Normally it's the Lions, if we're being fair. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 3 really good games on Thanksgiving, a lot of good football on Sunday as well. Yeah, Thanksgiving was awesome. I can't believe we're on to Christmas. And
I actually have the first holiday party of the season, Saturday. Because it's the only day that worked for everyone here.
Yeah, we're approaching our work holiday parties and stuff, so which is crazy.
This will be so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we are here to preview Week 13 of the NFL. Week 12, as we just talked about, was a lot of fun. I said we would skip over it, but just really quickly, some draft order stuff. I want to go over the top 5 because I think some things changed over the weekend with the Ohio State-Michigan game. I think that there's some things that happened in that game that I think could push a certain quarterback down boards a little bit, even if he didn't really play that poorly. But top 5 right now: Houston Texans, Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, Seattle Seahawks, and Carolina Panthers. As of right now, I think we can pencil in Bryce Young at number 1 overall. I think that's close to a lock. I saw Dane Brugler put out his first mock today. Some names that I hadn't seen in first round mocks yet, so that was cool. I think the draft starts at wherever the Bears are. Honestly, I think if the Lions end up picking at number 2, there's going to be a vast debate over if they're going to get a quarterback or if they're going to continue to build, wait for maybe Caleb Williams in 2024, or if they just stick it out with Goff, because Goff's played pretty well this year, and there's still a report that they love him. So,
yep, they love him, and they could be one of the teams to take a shot at Jimmy G instead. And there's multiple ways that could go. And to be honest, the prospect of trying to block Aiden Hutchinson and Will Anderson is pretty scary.
For sure. And I think a lot of people say, well, the Lions wouldn't go edge rusher again. Why not? They still need edge rush help.
Well, and it's probably the most cap space used on their defense right now as well, which they could easily get out of if you actually look at their contracts a bit. And we did last year. We talked about, I don't know if you bring back the Aquaros, maybe you cut them, maybe you cut this and that. I know they re-signed some last year that they like, but getting a guy like that is night and day from what they have on the opposite side of Hutchinson.
Yeah, it's what the Commanders thought they were getting in Sweat and Chase Young, and they still might. They still might get that.
Yeah, so injuries have really derailed what could have been a historic defensive line.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm excited to see that all come to fruition here. The Bears, I think. The Bears, a lot of people are talking about the Bears being able to trade back. I think they'd take Jalen Carter or Will Anderson if they're in the top 3. I don't think they'd trade back. They need it badly. Yeah. So
there's an outside chance they do. Just
the haul will be crazy. I understand the premise behind trading back. Like, a lot of people think the Lions would come up or some other quarterback needy teams, but really, the quarterback, the Lions would be one, but I don't see them moving up to do that. It's just very interesting. We have a lot of teams in the top 5. I think the Panthers need a quarterback. the Seahawks, a lot of people are penciling a quarterback there. Geno Smith's been fantastic, and I don't see a reason why they would go get a guy who might not be ready when their team probably will be next year to compete. So,
Well, but that also, if you bring back Geno, it does open that door as well to
yeah,
have him in waiting. Assuming Stroud in that scenario, or maybe even a little farther down the list, Levis or someone else. But
yeah, that's true. We'll see what happens, but the top five is always the juicy part. A lot of football left to play, so it's
yeah,
nothing's set in stone at all. And the strength of schedule discrepancies in some of those top five are pretty crazy, and then some of them are like identical pretty much. So it'll be interesting how it plays out. But let's get into week 13. This week we have 2 bye weeks. The Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers are on bye. So you're missing out on your Arizona Cardinals players and maybe DJ Moore. But
yeah,
he had a good week.
Foreman every other week.
Yeah, maybe. Not Sam Darnold, though.
Nope.
But yeah, so those are the 2 teams. I think we have a couple more next week as well.
I believe it's 6 teams on bye next week.
Yeah, I know the Bears are, because I just looked at Fields' schedule for reasons that everyone can guess that he's on 60% of my fantasy teams. But
the teams that he's not on yours, or that he's on mine.
Yeah, this is true. I know there are quite a few teams on bye next week.
Sorry, it's loading. Okay, well, that's just not what I asked for. Is it? Is it game? Okay. I know. Oh, so if it's Bears for sure, that it's Falcons, Packers, Colts, Saints, Commanders, and Bears.
Okay. Wow. Big week 14 bye week, which feels right. It feels like we had a couple heavy bye weeks, and then they've been sprinkled throughout. But yeah, so those are the 2 teams you're missing out on this week. But the Thursday night football game is a really good one. The 8-3 Buffalo Bills are 5.5-point favorites heading to New Jersey to face off against the 6-5 Patriots, who looked fantastic last week, despite the loss. The over/under is 44.5 in this game. I would argue that the Patriots played better than the Bills last week. The Bills kind of survived the Lions' output. Josh Allen, 24-42, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a stupid pick in the red zone again. This happens, it seems, once every 2 weeks at the very least. Added 78 yards on the ground. Devin Singletary continued his dominance as the top back there, 72 yards and a catch. Isaiah McKenzie was the standout in this game, 6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. He had 2 long ones that kind of stood out. On the other side of things, the Patriots should have won this game with how great Mac Jones played. I would argue that Mac Jones has never played a better football game since arriving in the NFL in the first year and a half.
Only one memory of closest against the Browns.
The Browns, yeah, that's the one that comes like to mind as rivaling, but I don't know that I've ever seen Mac as decisive as he was, even against the Browns last year. Mac was 28 of 39, 382 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is the ceiling for Mac Jones, and I know the Viking secondary isn't really everything, and it's definitely not what the Bills are going to be this week, but that was encouraging. I actually, as one of Mac Jones's biggest haters, I was very encouraged by that.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson is still just getting a crap ton of passing work. He's an RB1 the rest of the way. You start him every week. I think a lot of people still put him in start sit questions. Don't play him every single week. And then the receivers, a few guys just kind of put together decent days. Nelson Aguilar, 6 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. So in this game, with it being in New England, do you think that plays a role? Do you expect Mac Jones to come back down to Mac Jones's normal level of game manager?
I do think he's a little bit more back to that normal level than he was. I mean, he was just on fire on Thanksgiving. I do think it comes just slightly back to norm, but this is another game that should be a shootout in that scenario. It does look like Damien Harris is pretty much a lock to not play. So, yeah, if you're questioning Ramondre, even with Harris, I think you're wrong. I do think Harris has looked better than him on the ground since he's come back from injury. It's just Stevenson's getting 7 to 10 catches a game, and you can't set that on your bench ever,
Nope.
no matter what position they are.
Nope.
Plain and simple. So that's an easy one there. I do think the Bills can eke this one out. I think both these teams looked really good, but Bills survived last week. The Patriots could not. I think it's kind of a similar situation, and the Bills should be able to really do well. I'm very curious to what the Patriots are going to try to take away this week, because last week I do feel vindicated. I did pick them trying to get rid of Cook, and they did, but it didn't do much.
Yeah.
This week, I mean, are you really taking away Singletary? At a certain point, you're taking away the run game, so Allen and him. But I think they're going for Diggs, and this offense without Diggs has not been good. When he's taken away, this offense does struggle mightily.
Yeah, I would put a little bit of that on Josh Allen. I still think Josh Allen is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. I also think that some of the decision-making things that disappeared last year, but were very much so a part of his game early in his career, are back, and they seem here to stay because it happens, like I said, once every 2 weeks at the very least. And I would argue that he makes a really dumb decision in the red zone every single week, whether it results in a turnover or not. And for that, I think the Patriots are going to win this football game. I think the Patriots have a recipe to win this football game. But everything comes down to Mac Jones, I think.
Yeah.
With that said, I would take the under in this game, just barely though.
So I'll take the Bills and the over then.
Okay, that's fun there. It should be a really good Thursday night game, which is exciting.
Yeah, one of the best.
Yes. Next game, Denver Broncos against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 7-4 after a brutal loss last week. 8.5-point favorites in this game. However, over-under is only 38.5, partially due to the fact that the Broncos are one of the worst football teams in the NFL right now. The Carolina Panthers made them look silly. Russell Wilson, 19 of 35, 142 yards and a touchdown. Latavius Murray was really good, and Courtland Sutton was fine. Trevor Lawrence put on a masterclass, and that's the only reason the Ravens lost last week. Lamar was kind of problematic down the stretch too. 16 of 32 for 254 yards and a touchdown, and then 89 yards on the ground. He did fumble the ball. Josh Oliver had a good day. He actually outperformed Mark Andrews in this game. I don't expect any of that to be the case this week. I think this feels very much like a get right for the Ravens. Their offensive coordinator is reportedly in talks to take the Stanford job at the college level, though. So I do kind of wonder how that plays into this game, because if he's in talks, that means that he was probably interviewing this week, and so the installation of the offense may not have gone as smoothly this week. But the Broncos suck, so it doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah, the Ravens defense should kind of throttle them on the offense. Sorry, someone's screaming outside. But I mean, plain and simple, this Ravens offense without a top end running back, and Gus Edwards kind of first week back had a good week. We'll give him a little bit of the doubt. Dobbins back to practice. I think down the stretch they'll be all right, but they're not getting any help in the passing game. And this offense is basically one-dimensional at this point, unless Andrews can have a big day, or Robinson can get open deep, or Duvernay gets 8 dump down catches. Like it's tough, and those are very comfortable secondary options. So I do think the Ravens win this one pretty easy, but I don't think it's by a lot. So I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, I'll take the Ravens, and I think the Ravens win by 2 or 3 scores even. And
I just don't know if they can put 3 scores up every week. That's the issue.
That's fair, and the Broncos defense is pretty remarkable, despite last week. Yeah, I know they've lost some, and
Justin Simmons is always a pretty good matchup against tight ends, and obviously Surtain is going to take away their number 1 receiver.
Yeah, their number 3 receiver posing as a 1.
It's just terrible. So Andrews is going to have a big day, and honestly, probably Oliver and Likely as well. But they're going to have to win by running on the ground. So hopefully Lamar gets like 3 touchdowns on the ground. That's the only way I see them scoring like 28 points.
Yeah, that might be fair. I'll take the over barely though. I just don't know. I don't think the Broncos can score. Next game, Commanders 7-4 Commanders have looked very good over the last few weeks. They're 2-point favorites on the road against the 7-4 Giants, which I find to be a very strange line. I think giving the Giants the benefit of the doubt that like not all of the front half of their season was fluky. But I get it. The Commanders are on a hot streak right now. Over under in this game is 40.5. Commanders won. It was tight last week. Taylor Heineke is the ultimate game manager. QB wins though. He's 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Brian Robinson looked really good on the ground. Caught a touchdown pass as well. Antonio Gibson kind of quiet in this game. I don't expect that to be the norm every week. He was involved in the passing game as well. The Giants, I thought, looked really good against the Cowboys. I thought that they were more competitive than I expected heading into the week. Daniel Jones, 21 of 35, 228 yards and a touchdown. Ran the ball 3 times. Saquon Barkley was kind of taken out of this game, kind of salvaged his fantasy day-ish with a touchdown. And then Richie James, 5 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. I want to pat myself on the back. I didn't talk about it on this show, but I wrote about it in a roundtable this week for Football Guys, that he was my my sleeper for the week. That I thought, with the lack of clarity in the wide receiver room, I felt like he would get into the end zone and or that he would have a fantasy relevant day, and he did. And I expect that to continue this week against the Commanders because the Commanders don't have a good secondary. How do you see this game playing out? Because I do think that this is a good game.
So I'll actually throw this back onto you with a question. Do you think the Commanders have a good run defense?
I think having Chase Young back this week likely will definitely make it better.
Because this Giants team sucks if Saquon isn't having a good day. Plain and simple. This offense struggles mightily. He has to carry them. The defense has played well. And
yes.
Daniel Jones has played all right in stretches. Honestly, I think he had a pretty good game, like you said, against the Cowboys, but there's just no one to throw to. So this offense can't move the ball without Barkley. And I do think there's a chance Bellinger's back, by the way, which makes no sense to me. But that's a whole different
crazy
thing.
Yeah, it's insane.
So if Barkley can have 80 plus yards, I think the Giants can take this one. But I'm not betting on that. I'm going to take the Commanders in an under because the Commanders win 17-14.
Yeah, I mean, Daron Payne is having a year like no other. I think he's in a contract year. I think that could be the case as to why he's playing that way. Jonathan Allen as well. I'm going to take the Commanders in this game as well. I'm going to take the under because I just don't see a whole lot of points in this one. But this is a game I want my eyes on. Like I will be watching this game. In sports. Mostly.
There's a few good 1:00 games. So
yeah, this is true. Another good 1:00 game. If only for the story.
1:00 game.
Yeah, that's fair. The 4-7 Browns are 7-point favorites on the road against the Houston Texans, who are 1-9-1 and are locked into the first overall pick, especially with the quarterback change last week. Over under in this game is 45. Shout out Jacoby Brissett. He went out on the highest of high notes, especially when that was his Achilles heel this year, as he could not lead the team in tight situations down the stretch. And then he did it. He actually made a terrible throw, and David Njoku saved his ass. But we're not gonna talk about that.
It was a good catch. That's what we talked about.
Yes.
You could tell why guys love Brissett and why teams fight for him. Just plain and simple.
For sure. He's a good leader. He was one of Andrew Luck's favorite people with the Colts too. I don't know if you listened to the the podcast. You know what I'm talking about, the Luck podcast. Is that what it was called? Luck? I think it was just called Luck.
It might have been. It was very good though by The Athletic.
Yes, The Athletic. Zach something from The Athletic. I'll get back to you. If you have questions on that, I will figure it out for you. So yes, Jacoby Brissett, very well respected. I think a good, stable piece in that quarterback room, because obviously the anticipation for this game comes around Deshaun Watson, his return, his starting against his former team, his accusers being in the press box of this game. A lot of just weird vibes around this game. The NFL is kind of pushing it. They don't have any they have the D team on the call. They kind of want this to fade into the background, it seems, which that's what they do with.
Even though they made the suspension extremely this reason. They could have made it 12 games and made this not possible.
Yep.
But they made it 11, a weird number, to make this extremely possible.
Super strange.
However, unfortunately for him, the Texans have a good pass defense on paper only because they have such a terrible run defense. The teams don't throw at them. So just like a lot of Deshaun Watson's interactions in the last few years, it'll be really unexciting for everyone except him, probably. And Chubb is going to have a good day, and Watson's going to he's going to throw it a couple times, it feels like. I think they're going to hand it off to Chubb and Hunt and pretty much try and get out of the game without any fanfare.
See, there's that line of thinking, and then there's the line of we need to go out. Man, but I still don't believe that Stefanski was all the way bought in on the decision to go get him. So, what I was going to say is they need to prove that it was the right move, and they need to show that he's an elite quarterback.
But it's not the right matchup to do it.
It's not. It's not.
Statistically, one of the worst run defenses ever.
Yeah.
And they have a good corner.
Yeah.
And there's no.
Yeah, but Cooper should cook him,
In zone, yes. There's no reason to throw 40 times here. There's a reason to run 40 times because Chubb should have 200 yards if you actually play this right.
That is appropriate. Would you start Deshaun Watson this week?
He's on the border.
Okay. I think he's a back end QB1 this week.
There as well.
I
said something else.
Yeah.
It's very not even saying that. Fucking shit. I hate this guy. Moving on. Schwartz had a fun day, ran in a touchdown. Cooper, it was great as always. I don't know if that continues. Njoku, is he going to get a target with the shot? I don't know. Aiken's got a couple once in a while in Houston. Pharaoh Brown did as well. So who the hell knows with this team now?
Hey, maybe Pharaoh Brown is the answer to this offense now. No, I do think that you can start all of your Browns, and I think you're okay with it. Personally, I would. You don't sit Amari Cooper. He's a wide receiver 1 right now. I mean, you just continue to ride that. There is some ambiguity about this week. If you have 2 wide receiver 1s and you're debating, for example, Jalen Waddle or Amari Cooper for some reason in a shallow league, play Waddle, despite the perceived bad matchup and stuff. But on the Texans side, do you even start Dameon Pierce at this point? Because he's been atrocious the last.
He's been atrocious, but the Browns' run defense is also pretty bad. So if there's a week in the last couple that I'm comfortable, it'd be this, but it's still a flex at best.
Yeah, that's fair. Don't start Kyle Allen, who's now the starter of the Houston Texans. They're just full tanking. I mean, Davis Mills is better than Kyle Allen.
If you're desperate on Brandon Cooks, maybe it's tough. I really don't want to play any Texans.
Yeah, that's fair. Browns win big and over because I think they pour it on.
I think Browns win big, but I'm going to go under.
That's fair.
Because the only reason the Texans scored 15 last week is because the Dolphins sat everybody at halftime.
Yeah, it was 30-0 at halftime. It was an atrocious game until they went into prevent and everyone was hurt or pulled. Okay, next game, 4-7 Jaguars against the 4-7 Lions. Lions are 1-point favorites in this game, and the over-under is 52. This should be a shootout of all shootouts. This is one of the more fantasy relevant matchups of the week, which is crazy when you go back and look at how people viewed these two teams before the season. Trevor Lawrence had what I believe is his coming out party. 29 of 37, 321 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the decisiveness on that final drive against the Ravens and the cojones to go get that 2-point conversion too. That was the Trevor Lawrence that was supposed to be showing up over the first 2 years of his career. So I think that he can build off of that. Zay Jones was really, really good for him. 11 catches on 14 targets for 145 yards. JaMycal Hasty kind of hopped into the game. Apparently, Travis Etienne, I almost called him his brother's name again. God dang, I watched too much college football. He was okay to come back, but they wanted to play it safe. I don't know. I mean, Hasty kind of sucked outside of a couple nice catches he got in the end zone that way.
He's a bad runner. But he's
correct.
a good receiving back. So the thing with it is, unless Etienne is 100%, I assume he's going to rotate in still, because they're going to try and make sure Etienne's 100%.
Yeah. Other side of things, Jared Goff, 23 of 37, 240 yards and 2 touchdowns. As I said earlier, Jared Goff has been fine this year. He's actually been a really efficient quarterback, even if he's not a world beater. I could see the Lions sticking with him past this year. Jamal Williams, 18 carries, 66 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 catches, 122 yards and a touchdown. Here's the weekly question, man. Do you play DeAndre Swift?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
At this point, he's along the lines of others where I have to see it. I'm not, especially, if you locked up your playoff spot, maybe who cares at that point, and you want a boom game from someone to see if you can get a better seed. But if you're inking trying to get into the playoffs like that, you can't trust him at this point. You should be able to, but you can't.
Yeah, he's been as disappointing as anyone this year, I think.
Especially after an RB1 start.
Yep, we saw the signs. I think he'll bounce back next year, but he's approaching another contract, and I don't see a reason why the Lions would keep him.
A lot of people are predicting that they may take Bijan or Zach Evans, and I understand it because Swift has not been able to stay healthy.
Yeah. Especially they have 2 first-round picks. They can afford to do that this year. It's crazy. I think the Lions win this game. I think this could be a 42-40 game, though. Like I'm not even lying. Like I think they could. I'm not even lying. I think they could put up about 80 points between the two of them.
Yeah, I'll take the Lions in the over too. Lawrence, as with every quarterback, he's really struggled with pressure. The Lions have been able to get some good pressure over the last few weeks, and Hutchinson is very good in RPO situations. So if they're trying to lean on that to calm Lawrence, I don't think it'll help. So I'll take the Lions there.
Sweet. Next one, another good game. You did highlight the 1 p.m. games are pretty good on paper.
Depending on injuries, they should be good.
Very true. 7-4 Jets take on the 9-2 Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are only 3-point favorites in this game. Over-under is 43.5. The backup bowl last week was very, very tough to watch as a new Bears fan. I turned it off because I don't like the Bears if they don't have Justin Fields. I'm just going to be completely honest with everyone. Mike White was pretty awesome against the worst secondary in the NFL, so got to give him a little bit of credit there. Just a little, though. 22 of 28, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. To be honest, Zach Wilson would have had a good day last week, too. We talked about that a little bit before he got benched. I believe that was a game that he could have gotten right. They chose not to do it. I understand. They had him working on his mechanics at practice today. It's not good. You shouldn't be doing mechanics drills in week 13, man.
Number 2 pick.
Yeah, over the guy that would have beat them last week had he
Yep.
played. Zonovan Bam Knight, 14 carries, 69 yards, and 3 catches for 34 yards. I loved his film. I'm excited that he got to get on the field. That's really all I wanted to say about him. I think
Yeah.
you could probably play him this week because
We need to see more. Not that you can't play him because we need to see more. We need to see more from this team. Simply because Michael Carter could not play. We're not quite sure. Ty Johnson got mixed in a good amount of times, and James Robinson was a healthy scratch who's definitely playing this week. And he could get the lion's share of touches this week, and that's the issue.
He could play this week, but he also whined about it. Did you see that today?
Of course he did, because there's a good chance they held him out to try and spend less of a pick in the trade for him, which is shitty.
Yeah, I know. I do think he plays this week, but I think that relegates Ty a little bit. Although Ty Johnson
Yeah,
looked really good
Ty will be
last week.
non-existent in that situation.
I know. I want him to go to a different team that actually appreciates what he can do because he's actually pretty good. Garrett Wilson was awesome. 5 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. One was on a broken play, literally a broken foot. Eddie Jackson had a Lisfranc injury, fell down, and that's the reason Garrett Wilson was able to score the second touchdown, but that's okay. Elijah Moore, 2 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. I'm very hesitant on thinking that's sticky.
Yeah, that's not sticky.
Yeah. Other side of things.
The backups practice together a lot, so.
Yeah, that's true. Last week, Dalvin Cook taken out of the game. We talked about that. Justin Jefferson, 9 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Adam Thielen, 9 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson, 5 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. That will not all happen against the Jets secondary, though. So, my question, you don't play Thielen, I don't think, because I think you're a little worried about that. I think they get creative with Jefferson to keep Sauce off of him, because I don't think Sauce is quite shadowy yet. I think he's still.
I think you could shadow someone on outsides. I don't think I'm trusting him going inside. So that's
right.
Where...
And that's where I think Jefferson's going to live this week. So I think Jefferson's fine. Dalvin Cook.
Thielen's fucked.
Yes. Dalvin Cook and TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson, you play him because he's Hawkinson and tight ends suck. Cook tempered expectations, I think, but you play him.
I think you could have an RB3 day for sure with an upside of RB2. Jets defense is entirely as good. So I think you're just going to need a touchdown this week to really help your lineup. But yeah, I mean, this passing game worked last week, playing simple against a good defense as well. Let's not forget that. But I mean, Cousins had 7 incompletions, and one of them was a pick.
Yeah.
So, he really completed 31 out of 37. So
this is true. Are you worried about Cousins though against the Jets, or are you just
not after last week? And it's a 1:00 game. He's mixed in here. He'll be fine.
That's true. Did you see the post game where Kevin O'Connell said that was a primetime game and that quarterback won? And your quarterback won or something like that. He was basically making fun of Kirk for sucking in primetime games in front of the whole locker room, which I thought was cool.
So a little bit of breaking news. College football officially expands to 12 teams starting in 2024.
That's pretty sick. We'll talk about that a lot this offseason.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's breaking. It's definitely for the show because we will talk about that a lot. Not necessarily those games, but we talk about college a lot after the season. So
yeah, which I'm more than ready for sure as we get into the fantasy playoffs and talk through that. But all right, in this game, I think the Jets are going to win this game, and I would go with the under if that's the case.
I'll take Vikings and over.
Yeah, I think that if you're on the Vikings, you're on the over. So
yeah.
All right. What I thought was going to be a glimpse into the future is no longer that.
Unfortunately.
So stupid. Although we'll talk about it in a second. So the 4-8 Packers are heading to Soldier Field to take on maybe the Fieldsless Chicago Bears. He was limited at practice again today. The Bears are 3-9 and currently sitting at the number 2 overall pick. Over under in this game is 44, and the Packers are 2-point favorites. Darnell Mooney's out for the season. Chase Claypool was banged up. Justin Fields, again, still nursing his whatever the injury was, because there were so many mixed reports. It sounded like a dislocation and a strain of some sort. And so they held him out last week. The reports were that he was probably good to go this week, but with him being limited today, I don't know if they risk it, especially now that Aaron Rodgers is playing in this game.
And the other thing from, a schematic thing for the Bears is if Claypool's not out there, there's really no one to throw to. So Fields is going to have to run more. You're going to want him 100% at that case because you don't want him to, permanently do some damage to that shoulder. So
for sure. I also trotting him out there when that we just watched what a non-throwing shoulder injury can do to a quarterback's mechanics. For a kid that needs to continuously work on his mechanics, I just don't know if it's a good idea to have him go out there and try to win games because they don't need to win games. They need to lose games, actually, if we're being completely honest. Yeah. I think that will be much easier with Aaron Rodgers, who left the game after being bad. He was very hurt towards the end, but 11 of 16, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Jordan Love came in. I saw, shout out Jeff Bell. Jordan Love came in and in half a quarter outscored Russell Wilson last week in fantasy, which is remarkable. A.J. Dillon looked fantastic last week. 8 carries, 64 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 24 yards. Aaron Jones, 3 catches, 56 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if I'm rolling with A.J. Dillon this week because I do think that the Bears secondary is so bad that Aaron Jones and the Packers receivers are better plays.
If Fields is out, though, I think I feel pretty comfortable playing him in the flex because I think they're going to get up and just run the ball down their throats at that point.
Yeah.
To protect Rodgers a bit.
That's fair. David Montgomery, 14 carries, 79 yards, 3 catches, 34 yards. I think either way you play Montgomery in this game.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet, I'm not interested in unless Fields plays. And if Fields plays, I would start Cole Kmet. Again, tight end landscape, ass. Every year, ass. But especially ass this year. Yeah, I don't know about this game, man, because if it's so dependent on if Fields plays, because I think the Bears win the game if Fields plays, honestly.
It's still close. I'm going to go Packers under, and if Fields plays, I want to go Bears, but I'm going to go Packers over.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, when Fields plays, they average 30 points a game over the last half of the season.
With Mooney,
with a healthy Claypool. You're right. But yeah.
With a healthy Fields.
Yeah. I'll take the Packers and the under for sure. If Fields plays, though, I'll take the Bears and the over.
It's fair.
Next game, 4-7 Steelers taking on the 5-7 Falcons. The Falcons are 1.5-point favorites, and the over/under is 42. This is a matchup of bad quarterbacks. Last week, we just have written in here, Mariota bad again. That seems to be the theme. It doesn't matter. They're going to keep trotting him out there because they don't give a shit about Desmond Ridder. Clearly, Desmond Ridder must be really bad in practice, man. I don't get it. Kenny Pickett was fine at times last week. George Pickens had some highlight catches, but really wasn't. He was kind of quiet. He went up for a one-handed catch on a touchdown. Should have went up with 2, and he would have caught it. Pickens has his moments. Najee Harris is fine, but still going to be questionable this week. It wasn't a major injury, but he left the game. Benny Snell actually looked better than him, if we're being completely honest.
Jalen Warren is cleared for practice this week and is practicing. So,
yep.
I don't know what to do with this backfield. Probably not playing any of them, even though the Falcons is a pretty good matchup. It's just if all 3 are playing,
I have a tough question for you. Are you playing Deontay anymore?
No.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Kenny Pickett killed it.
Deontay is one of the most talented receivers in the league. Plain
For
and
sure.
simple. Pickett is one of the least talented quarterbacks in the league. He's incredibly inaccurate and looks to extend plays to throw the ball out of bounds every play. He's very, very bad. I feel very bad for Deontay. I'm sure
Yes.
he's pissed.
Yeah. Well, that's why he signed that little short 3-year contract instead of the big 5-year contract, I'll bet. Paid him pretty well though. Yeah, I actually laughed out loud at one play where Kenny Pickett rolled out. It looked like he was going to make a throw, and then he just dumps it out. And I
Yeah,
just
it's
cracked up,
most
man.
of his plays is he sprints away from the pocket, rolls out, looks like he's gonna try and do something, and then he dumps it down 1 yard in front of him. That is incredibly depressing to watch. Hence why I won't be watching this game.
Yeah, play Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, I think Algier is a outside flex option. It's tough though. Steelers defense, knowing you're only able to run the ball, it's not an ideal situation.
Yep. Yeah, man, I wanted this to be the Ritter and Pickett Bowl, but because I wanted to be right about having Ritter ahead of him. Maybe we'll get that. Maybe this is finally the week they pull the plug on
Week
Mariota. But
what did I tell you, man?
I know
Week 14 is the bye week. If they lose here, maybe they're not feeling some type of way about maybe somehow beating the Bucks for the playoff spot. We'll see, but
yeah, it's tough.
maybe TJ Watt has 6 sacks, and they're just like, maybe
Yeah.
Ritter now.
Yeah, I'll take the Steelers and the under.
Yep, same.
Cool.
Even
Next game.
if I hate their quarterback.
Yeah, facts. Next game, Tennessee Titans are 7-4, taking on the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5. I'm pretty upset at those refs in that Commanders-Eagles game because the Eagles really legitimately have a shot at going 16-1 this year. This is probably their last tough test. They have the Cowboys one more time though, and Commanders.
I think they have everyone in the division left.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Giants. But yeah, they have a couple tough games, but they're a very good football team. On the Titans side, though, Ryan Tannehill, 22 of 34, 291 yards, doing Ryan Tannehill things. Derrick Henry, 17 carries, 38 yards, not doing Derrick Henry things, but 3 catches for 79, also not Derrick Henry things. He's really struggled to catch the ball again this year. We had the debate 3 years ago. I know. It was like 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago we had the debate again, and I said, "Oh, he's gotten better." No, he hasn't. He's not good at it.
It's never been debate on this side. He cannot catch the ball. He can catch a screen pass because everyone can.
Speaking of guys that can catch a screen pass, Treylon Burks, he can do that too. 4 catches, 70 yards. He took 1 screen, I believe, in this game, a few yards,
and he had do best.
Yeah, and he had 1 deep, a nice high-pointed ball. Another thing that he does really well is catch point stuff. So I'm hoping to see more of that this week. Gonna be a little tougher against the Eagles secondary.
Yes.
Do you play him? Are you interested in playing him?
Not this week.
I'm not either.
There's too much attention going to him this week. It's just not. It's not ideal. Henry, I think you have to play.
Temper the expectations.
It's a little bit of a mixed bag. Eagles rush defense right now. Obviously, Jordan Davis not back yet is a big blow to what they're expecting in the middle, but they have some replacements. It's not perfect.
No, it's not.
Like Davis takes away the middle. Seward looked decent last week. There's no question there, but I think Henry can have a good game again, and he's the only way they win this.
That's true. But yeah, you start Henry. I wouldn't start Tannehill in this game.
No, but he's quietly had a really good year.
Yeah,
he's much better than last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree for sure. On the other side of things, Jalen Hurts, there was a question on Twitter. Is he really playing quarterback? Yes, you fucking idiot. Excuse my language. 16 of 28, 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. That could be the reason someone said that. 17 carries for 157 yards. It doesn't matter if he's a quarterback doing that. That is the quarterback position in the NFL now. And Jalen Hurts is one of the best at doing it. So he should be firmly in MVP discussions. Let's not be racist out here. Miles Sanders, 21 carries, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell, 8 carries, 39 yards, and a touchdown. The receivers were fine. A.J. Brown was fine, four catches, 46 yards, and a touchdown. But the Eagles ran for over 300 yards in this game.
Yeah, 16 completed passes. They were down on the ground. There was no need to throw the ball. So not a lot of room to work. Brown with a touchdown could have saved his day a bit, even though he did have a costly fumble as well. So
yeah. I'm going to take the Titans to cover, but the Eagles to win this game. And I'll take the over.
This is an awkward game for the Eagles, and because the Titans' run defense is very good.
Titans' defense in general is very good.
It is, but it's cornerstone by the run defense, with the secondary playing above pay grade for sure.
For sure.
So it's going to be a tough one. I think you're still obviously you're playing Hurts. I think you're still pretty comfortable with Sanders, just because there is a little bit of a passing work floor there, and he's been looked at really heavily in the red zone to run the ball. So I'm pretty comfortable with him as a flex this week, at least, if not better. And I think he had to play Devonta Smith for the ups and downs, and I think you're playing A.J. Brown with a possible upside of a big day. But I'll take the Eagles in the over, but I think Titans to cover.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page there for sure. All right, afternoon slate, late slate. Probably the best game of the week here, in my opinion. Raheem Mostert caused a little bit of controversy this week too. I don't know did you see those quotes where Mostert basically he kind of threw Jimmy G under the bus and saying good things about Tua, and then he clapped back and said, no, I didn't say that. I was just complimenting Tua. And then the 49ers players that played with Raheem Mostert last year came back and said, no, you knew what you were saying and you knew what you were doing. And it was kind of cool to get a little bit of juice in this game. There was already some juice, but the 8-3 Dolphins are heading out to San Francisco to take on the 7-4 49ers. 49ers are 3.5-point favorites at home, and the over-under is 46.5. Elijah Mitchell's out 6 to 8 weeks. I think that's a good lead off here. Christian McCaffrey is he's on that I don't practice regimen now.
He is banged up as well. I think he is. His ankle, I believe.
Something. The way they've worded it is we're going to hold him out of practice or just do limited stuff, and then he's going to play every week. As long as nothing gets worse. That's kind of how I read into something today, but that could be completely wrong. These things change very quickly too.
With that being said, do you think the split back goes to Ty Davis Price or Mason? Because I personally think it's Ty Davis Price.
Yeah, you remember that one Trey Sermon game last year? Yes. That's what I think this is. That's
yes.
Which is just a crazy dichotomy of the last 2 years of 49ers drafts. But yeah, I think it's Ty Davis Price. If McCaffrey doesn't play,
I think with McCaffrey was my point.
Yes. So here's the caveat.
Because CMC got 15 touches.
I know. Do you play Ty Davis Price though? Because
in a DFS lineup, in a tournament DFS lineup, yes,
or like a deep dynasty, for example, a 32 team league, you play him this week.
Yeah, after looking at practice reports as well,
for sure.
But yeah, someone's getting the starters reps this week because CMC isn't, so I think it'll be him. And if that's the case, I'll be pretty comfortable playing him in that kind of situation. But this should be a game, and I mean, if we're being real, this 49ers team takes control of games and they play up to competition. So I don't know what to expect with this game. I think you have to call over, but
oh yeah.
But if it's under, it's a lock 49ers win. Let's just point that part out.
For sure.
But I think you're calling the over, and I'm going to take the 49ers, man.
These are two teams playing at the highest level right now. I would argue that these are two of the top 3 teams in the NFL in terms of how they're playing currently. I think you put the Chiefs up there still.
Yeah.
And the Eagles maybe, so maybe top 4. But that being said, I was thinking about it on my drive today to work, because I do that. So I'm weird.
Very good.
The Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, mostly so to extent Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniel are the only 2 directly from Kyle Shanahan coordination, right? From one of their coordinators. I think Mike McDaniel has the potential to be one of the best coaches he already is one of the best coaches in the league. I think he has the potential to keep this as a Super Bowl contending team for a very long time. I think he will pull everything out, and things that the problem, or I guess struggle in this game is that Shanahan and McDaniel bounced ideas off of each other for 12 years or however long they were coaching together, and they know what the other guy is going to do. I think McDaniel's the smarter one, and I think McDaniel has more stops that he can pull out, more things that he in his bag, I guess, because I think he's the better coach. So I'm going to take the Dolphins, and I'm going to start every single person I possibly can except Ty Davis-Price.
So, do you know reports on Mostert for the week? Like, are you happy to play Wilson? Like, obviously, yes. Jeff Wilson had a bad day, but he really got pulled early in the second quarter, basically. So,
yeah. So Mostert got banged up, right? So he
didn't play last week,
right? And I believe I think he was limited in practice today, is what I saw. I guess if he plays, though, I'd be a little concerned about Wilson. So maybe I don't start everyone.
And there's a debate on maybe the better coaching, and a little bit of debate on the better offense because it's different styles. But there's no debate on the defense. The 49er defense is legit. They're very good at stopping the run. They're very good at getting to the quarterback as well. So because of that, I'm just not interested necessarily in the running backs this week, except for maybe flex consideration. You're obviously playing the receivers. I don't think you're playing Gesicki. I just think that's a bad matchup, obviously, against Fred Warner. And, a guy, unsung hero that, we both liked, Talanoa Hufanga as well, has played incredibly well this year. Much quicker than we expected, but still very good. And it's just not a good matchup for Gesicki. Obviously, you could get a touchdown. It's a tight end landscape. We could all look dumb because of that, but I'm not playing him.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Dolphins and over, though, for me.
49ers and over.
Yeah. I don't see a world where we hit the under in this game, which means it's probably going to be like a 10-3 game somehow.
There's definitely a way, and that way leads to a 49er win, is my point.
I know, I get it. Next game that we're going to gloss over very quickly. 6-5 Seahawks are only 4.5-point favorites for some reason against the 3-8 Los Angeles Rams. Over-under in this game is 42. Seahawks lost kind of there was a Josh Jacobs fumble situation. I caught it. Yeah. It was. I think the Seahawks got robbed a little bit. I know. But the Seahawks got run all over by Josh Jacobs last week, despite him being hurt. The good thing is that the Rams don't have people that can do that.
Don't play a Ram. Just we're not touching a Ram.
Correct.
Don't care.
Allen Robinson's out for the season. That's the new news for this team. Doesn't matter though. Didn't matter.
Higbee can have a good game. I'm not playing him. This offense won't throw the ball more than 20 times. The Seahawks defense has been getting better. This is going to be a really bad game. Play all of your Seahawks.
Yes.
No offense, maybe, but the big three, possibly big four, I guess, with Geno. But Geno is still also kind of on the lower side because he might have a more tiered down game while the receivers could still have a good day.
Yeah, that's fair. The DK versus Jalen Ramsey matchup's always fun though. So
it's always fun. There's usually a winner I want
Yeah.
that pointed out. It's never really like, oh, DK had a decent day. It's usually DK got shut down or DK mossed him.
Yep.
But Lockett should have a great day, and
Yeah.
Walker should destroy these guys. Although he really did play poorly against the Raiders, besides a beast mode touchdown.
He hasn't played well in the last 3 weeks, if we're being completely honest.
He's
But
trying to jump the fuck outside. The same thing we were worried about.
I know,
I
man.
thought in the first couple of weeks, I was like, it might be out of his system. It might have just been the Michigan. No,
it's because he has bad vision. We talked about it.
Better.
Yeah. Big facts. We're speaking facts on the show tonight. I'm taking the Seahawks and I'm taking the over.
Seahawks
under.
Yeah.
Under.
No. What is
I don't
42?
think the Rams are gonna.
The Seahawks put up 42 though. That's my fine. Seahawks under. Fuck it, God.
You can take the over. I'll take the under.
No.
All right. Next one, another really fantastic game.
We're hidden on the games this week, but there are some real shit ones that you just don't look at.
Yeah, for sure. 9-2 Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites heading to Cincinnati to take on the 7-4 Bengals, who have won, I believe, 5 straight, something like that.
Since they got it's definitely not 5, but since they got their
4
DX kicked in by the Browns.
True.
On Monday night.
Yes, I think 4.
So it's like 2, maybe 3.
Might be 3. Might be 3. Over under this one, 51.5. Mahomes last week, 27-42, 320 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Added 4 carries. Isaiah Pacheco looked good, 69 yards. Looked okay. Not super efficient.
For 69. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looked explosive, I guess is what I meant. Travis Kelce did Travis Kelce things. I am intrigued mostly by Sky Moore in this game, if I'm being completely honest. 6 targets the last 2 weeks. He's probably on your waiver wire still. If you are in need of a weird flex start, I don't think it's a bad decision to start him.
I'm against it, man.
I know
last 2 weeks, Tony has not been a thing.
Tony's still not practicing.
I know, but Juju was also his first week back last week. Didn't really get a full workload. I'm scared. I think he should get a continuous, 6 targets the rest of the year. Just keep him involved in the offense. I just don't see it happening. This is going to be a really good game. I think you're pretty much. I'm not sure on Pacheco. I don't think I'm playing him. This Bengals run defense just absolutely stalwart last week. So I'm not running Pacheco this week unless it's the deep league for me. You're obviously playing Mahomes. You're obviously playing Kelce. I think you're obviously playing Juju. But besides that, I'm pretty much out. I'm not taking – someone else is going to have a good day, but I'm not taking the shot this week.
That's fair. Other side of things, still waiting to see if Joe Mixon plays this weekend. If he doesn't, play Pirine, but it looks good.
I'd say it's like 90% chance he plays.
I would also argue with Jamar Chase coming back. I think they're going to try to win through the air. It shouldn't matter. Mixon should still have a good game if he plays. Pirine will have a good game if he plays. I wouldn't play Pirine if Mixon plays, though. I think some people could want to do that because he did have a decent day, a couple decent days. I mean, he's been good all year in his role, but I'd hesitate there. T. Higgins, you play. Jamar Chase, you play first week back. Joe Burrow, you play everyone. We're hitting the over here, I think.
Yes, no question. Which means it'll be the under.
And I think I think maybe Joe Burrow might have the Chiefs number. I mean, looking back at the playoff game last year, I think the Bengals are going to pull this one out. And I'll take the over too.
I will. Sorry. I'll take the Chiefs at the over because Chase, I don't think is 100%.
That's fair. I don't know if they'd bring him back if he wasn't, though. Because they know they're about to. You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think you should have been on the IR.
That's fair.
Plain and simple. And I think he might be 80%. 80% Jamar Chase is still better than a lot of receivers. Don't get me wrong. But it might just be not that next gear that he is accustomed to winning with. So
you're still playing him this week, though, right?
Yeah, I think you do simply because he gets targeted. Like he's going to get 8 targets if he's out there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next game. 6-5 Chargers are 2-point favorites against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 4-7 coming off that big win. Over under in this game is 51. Chargers really kind of got outmatched for a lot of the game last week, and then they had some cojones themselves and went for 2 to win the game. Justin Herbert, 35 of 47, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns without his second leading receiver in Mike Williams. Austin Eckler, 5 carries for 20 yards, a crazy line. Just 5 carries, but 11 catches, 60 yards and a touchdown, which is where Eckler thrives. DeAndre Carter had a good game, 7 catches, 73 yards on a touchdown. Josh Palmer had a good game. Keenan Allen had a good game that was kind of supplemented by a touchdown catch. Mike Williams should be back this week, so I'd hesitate on Palmer a bit.
I'd hesitate on Palmer and Carter in that situation. People were a little bit shocked by Carter's performance last week. He's the Williams replacement. Palmer's the Allen replacement. Ipso facto, he was getting the deep target and he cashed in. So I think Allen has a really good day. I think Mike Williams could have an explosive day. But this is going to be another good game. Plain and simple. I'm not going to make a
Josh Jacobs could have another 200 yards.
Yes, it's a fantastic matchup. He won't practice at all this week, so don't even question that. He might not play, but I think he's playing. But he won't practice at all this week, just so you know. So if you're picking up, I don't think you're picking up, what is it? It's Knight, right? Oh, no, White, Zamir White. I don't think you're picking up White. I think if you need it, Abdullah's not a bad pickup, but I'm not playing him. I think Jacobs plays and has another fantastic day. I think Adams should have a really good day. Other than that, Foster Moreau, he's going to get you 30 to 40 yards. Maybe there's a touchdown in there, maybe not. Figure it out. That's his day. I don't know what to tell you.
Consistent.
It's consistent for sure. I'm going to take the Chargers and the over because that's the only way the Raiders have a chance to win. So I'm going to take the Chargers.
I'll take the Chargers and the over.
I can't
as well.
pick them. They won't win.
I know. Chargers and over for me as well. Sunday Night Football sucks, guys. The 4-7-1 Colts take on the 9-3 Cowboys. The Cowboys are 9-point favorites in this game. Over under is 43.5. The Colts lost because Jeff Saturday doesn't know what he's doing. It's unfortunate. It's a learning moment for a young coach that's only coached high school football. I understand. But just the clock management is I would argue the reason they lost the game. Matt Ryan sucked again. Jonathan Taylor, great again. That's just the consistent thing. Matt Ryan just under pressure, man. Like I can't watch it. It's sad.
He is absolutely crumbled under pressure this year. And we do see that trend with like old immobile quarterbacks, even though he did have like 30 rushing yards, by the way. He's gonna have a really bad day.
Michael Parsons might have 4
statistically is going to be a QB3 this week.
I agree.
That's like the Cowboys are getting to him and destroying him. Plain and simple. Pittman, I think you can have a good day. Jelani Woods, 8 for 98 this week. They threw more passes to the tight ends in the second half than anyone in history, I think. I don't see that continuing. Jonathan Taylor, I want to play. I think you have to play.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is.
Against this Cowboys defense.
For sure. Other side of things, you play everyone.
Yes.
Possibly
Gallup.
I'd play Gallup this week.
He did look, back to his old self last week a little bit amidst the OBJ, rumors galore. But yeah, I think the obvious one, Zeke, you have to play. Lamb, you have to play. Schultz, you have to play. I think Pollard, you should play. I'm not just saying have to, but I think you should.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Cowboys
over
points.
All of it.
I'll take the over. It's going to be close, but I will.
Yeah, for sure. Monday Night Football also kind of bad, but not as bad.
Divisional matchup at least.
Yes, very true. And a team that gives Tom Brady fits. 4-8 Saints taking on the 5-6 Bucks. Bucks are 5-point favorites in this game, and the over/under is 40. Andy Dalton, 18 of 29, 204 yards. The guy sucks. Alvin Kamara sucks also right now. 7 carries, 13 yards, 6 catches, 37 yards. It's been rough over the last few weeks, but that means that the explosion is coming. Probably in the playoffs against me when Randy has it's probably
yes, week 15 shall be your demise.
yep. Chris Olave doing Chris Olave things, 5 catches, 62 yards. On the other side of things, with Leonard Fournette out, Rashad White got the Leonard Fournette pass catching, which is what we expected, and also he should do it more because he's better at it. 9 catches, 45 yards, 14 carries, 64 on the ground. He looked fine on the ground as well.
Yeah, he had one really explosive run to start the game, and then the Browns kind of ate him after that. But down the stretch, he actually had another good run as well. He's definitely explosive, way more explosive than Fournette. So
for sure.
But Saints defense, good, especially against the run. It's a scary matchup, but the passing game, Fournette's probably back, and that's why I don't know if I'm playing White. We'll see on that.
I still would because I think he has now earned the role. I think Fournette was out there because they knew that they could trust Fournette, and now they know they can trust Rashad. And Rashad's better. So I think they're smart enough to do that. But then again, Todd Bowles is kind of an idiot for what it's worth. And Byron Leftwich also sucks. I understand a little more why he hasn't gotten a head coaching job after watching him call the offense this year. It's been pretty bad.
Yeah.
Are you playing Mike Evans?
Because we're playing.
I think.
Well, then no, because both won't be finishing the games because they're going to get a fist fight.
That's
I'm going to play Godwin.
Godwin is a lock every week. He was back to it. 12 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown, and the third down go-to.
If Lattimore's not playing, I'm perfectly fine playing Evans. But Evans finishes like one of every 3 games they play against each other, it feels like.
He's going to be swinging helmets like Myles Garrett in this one because he hasn't quite gotten there yet. I think he did that once maybe.
He's been in a fight for sure, but I don't know about the helmet.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to take the Bucks in this game, and I'm going to take the under.
I will take the Bucks in the over and the hope for Kamara.
That's
it's fair. More of a hope play than a betting play. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Don't sit Kamara, by the way, everyone. I've seen a lot of questions.
Yeah, don't.
I saw a redraft question of, is he droppable? No.
Oh, good God.
Stop doing that. Stop asking silly questions. No questions silly. Ask all your questions, but the answer is no. Don't freaking drop him. I just don't see this game being very good, to be honest. I think the exciting part will be any fights that happen. So,
well, we'll see.
Could happen. All right, that'll do it for the Week 13 preview here on The Cut. We will be back on Wednesday of next week. That might be changing at some point here. Randy and I have not yet talked about that. We're going to talk about that as soon as we get off of this.
How fun.
Surprise. Good luck in your matchups this week. Randy, do you have anything to add before we bounce?
Good luck this week. Hopefully you can get more of a statement win and solidify your playoff chances. If you're struggling there, next week is going to be tough. Playoffs should be starting week 15 in most of your leagues. It's going to be tough to win next week for a lot of teams. So hopefully you get that key win this week.
Yeah, that's good advice. All right, we will be back next Wednesday, same-ish time. And as always, if you have any start sit questions or anything like that, I'm at C Williams NFL on Twitter, and Randy is at R Hall NFL on Twitter. You can shoot us a mention or a DM, however you choose, and we will happily answer those. For Randy Hall, I'm Christian Williams. We'll talk to you guys next week. Later.